I felt a lot of pressure to kind of step up to the plate and, in a sense, fill some shoes of, Olympic medalists when I moved here, because my synchro partner's ex-synchro partner, they got 2 Olympic medals together. So for me being the new girl, it was like, okay, you got to step up. You got to be at this level, when it's like, how do you expect me to be at this level when I've never even been at like level 5, like you got to go through the steps. But for me, it was just like all in right away. So with that came a lot of body dysmorphia, like especially being on TV quite regularly. And I remember being at Pan Am Games in 2019, and this is when like my eating disorder really kind of blew up. And I always kind of avoided food when I felt, bigger, and, like that, just like a very unhealthy relationship with food. I got very sick the day before my event. So like I couldn't eat anything. I was vomiting before my event. And then the only reason I was able to get through my event was because of the adrenaline again. I managed to get second in that competition, which was like the best result I had ever gotten with no food in my system. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, crazy. And then I got back to the village after that event, and I had another competition the next day. I like literally was sick all night, slept until 1 p.m. in the afternoon, competed at 8 p.m. at night, and we won. I didn't eat anything for those like 2 days, and I could barely eat anything for the next maybe 2 or 3. And I got home and I had lost like 9 pounds. And I was like, wow, this is the most successful week of my life. And I get home and everyone's like, wow, you look so fit. You look so good. It's almost like a positive feedback for a negative action. And for me, it was like, yeah, I had thrown up all week, not intentionally, but like the outcome of that was like, wow, I look this like the thinnest, and like you can see my muscles, you can see my abs, I can wear a bikini and I look skinny. Like I feel good about how my body looks. So after that, I went online and watched my videos of me diving, and I could see within 2 weeks I had world championships and I had Pan Am Games. World championships was my first individual competition where I was like really, really by myself on the platform. And I could see my body and I was like, oh, I don't like that. I looked at Pan Am Games and I was like, oh, okay, I can deal with that. So from there, my eating disorder kind of like just really grew, and I didn't really have much support. I didn't really accept that I had an eating disorder until about a year in. And like when it was really bad, and talking to my nutritionist, and she's like, okay, well, first of all, we're just going to have to address this. And she's like, you have an eating disorder. And I just broke down. I was like, no, I don't. Fine. She's like, you have an eating disorder. And we realized that, well, we have accepted, not realized, that I have bulimia. And it was something that I had been kind of hiding from everybody. And I thought it was just me being, nervous after, eating my lunch. I would eat it for a little bit in front of people, and then I'd go vomit before practice. And it just kind of became a habit. And it was something that really just, it wasn't a comfort thing, but it was, because if I was uncomfortable after eating, I'd feel more comfortable if I had vomited and I was empty at practice. So it was a very hard path to go on. But once I started seeing a psychologist about, helping me with my eating disorder, and once I opened up to my husband about what I was struggling with, like I would come home, have dinner, and I would be able to hide it from him, that I was vomiting after eating. He had no idea. And so when I told him, I actually didn't tell him. I was like, my nutritionist had to go up to him and talk to him. And like, I was like, I can't tell him, you need to tell him, like, you need to do this. So she went and talked to him and kind of told him, what's going on and what he could maybe do to help. And that I just felt like a burden, and I didn't want to be a burden, but having support would be helpful. So I built a really strong group around me of people that could understand. And I'm very lucky to have a best friend. Unfortunately, she has an eating disorder as well, a different kind of eating disorder, but we both understand that concept, and she's a very high level athlete as well. So like, we know what it's like to be on TV. We know what it's like to have the body dysmorphia when you see yourself and you're like, oh my God, I hate that. Or I love that, and it's an unhealthy thing. So it's having that kind of surrounding of people that understand and that can help you, and that kind of know how to navigate the, oh, she's looking really thin. It's maybe not the best time to say you look great right now, because it's so I've been trying to advocate and kind of educate, especially the coaches at the pool, because they've never really had an athlete that's open about their experience with eating disorders. And I've been, trying to at least help them understand, certain situations. Because when I opened up about my eating disorder to my coach, it was kind of like, I don't want to know. Like, I don't want to know. I don't need to know. That's too much personal information. I'm like, no, you do need to know, because I need someone when I'm at competitions. If I'm sitting at the table and I'm not eating, I need you to be like, KK, you have a big competition. Let's try and find something you're comfortable with, rather than like just completely ignore it, or, or on a day where like they're not really thinking, say something that kind of makes me feel like, oh, I'm fat today. Like there's comments that come out that they don't mean to make it, a huge thing, but in an eating disorder brain, it's exacerbated to like the biggest thing. So my whole goal over the past like 2 years has been to build a relationship with my team so that they can understand me and I can understand them, and we can work together even if we're uncomfortable, but like it's the reality. And like being inside this, like I have so many friends in gymnastics and swimming and a whole loads of sports, and it's crazy how many people experience really similar things to what I'm experiencing. And when I open up on Instagram, I get so many messages like, thank you for sharing. Like, I'm not ready to share my story yet, but it's really nice to see someone that is going through it as well. And I'm like, wow, okay, we really need to expand on like maybe not expressing everyone's individual stories, because sometimes it's traumatic and they don't want to share it and can feel embarrassing as well. But just knowing that you're not alone in that is insane.
What do you do now kind of on a daily basis or consistent basis to take care of yourself physically and mentally?
Well, with my eating disorder, it's a very big thing for me to try and feed my body properly. I'm still in that constant fight of like, it's hard for me to be completely nourished every day, it's a hard thing to accept, but like I'm really trying to, make a structure of eating and a schedule and a routine that I stick to that's healthy and manageable mentally and physically for me. Also surrounding myself with good people. I've worked really hard on surrounding myself with people that support me. So that has been like a really big thing in my life that I've noticed a huge change where I can live day to day and have a good group of friends that they understand me and I feel comfortable saying no. Another thing is like I found the past 2 years I haven't done school. I was just focusing mainly on diving, and it was a lot of pressure on me, just because I didn't feel like I had any identity outside of diving. So I started doing school again this year, and it's been helping me a lot. Just feel like I have, other vessels in my life to really work on and succeed in. And with that school, I've found also like that just in my life, like I just enjoy going outside. I enjoy going for walks. I enjoy with things that like I didn't otherwise want to do, because like with diving, I trained so hard that it's like, okay, no, I'm tired. Like, leave me alone. I don't want to go walking. I don't want to go like do anything that I have to use energy. But now I'm like, oh, okay, like there's a lot more to life than just like waking up, going to the pool, working out, sweating, crying maybe a bit, and then coming home, like, so that those are, all things that I've really kind of been working on. And also now, like, I didn't really mention this much before, but I mentioned that my husband was a diver. And we've been together almost 6 years now. So for 5 years, we had, woken up together, gone to the pool together, had lunch, trained again, come home, have dinner, go to bed, and repeat. So for 5 years, that was my life. And now he's retired. So I've been working really hard on, keeping a relationship with him that's like, it's different now. Like, we don't spend our days together. So there's like a whole new aspect of my life where like, oh wow, we have to like really like try and like find time for each other and like appreciate the moments that we have together. So there's a lot of new kind of, areas of my life that I've been working on, and it is really new. So I'm still learning how to work on them, but I would say like the biggest part of my life right now that I need to work on is the healthy eating and the consistent, routine, and understanding that what's going in my body isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not, it's not a bad thing to feed yourself. And so, yeah.